Hey guys, Joshua, Door Design Workshop. This is going to be a video on how to install Turnstyle hardware, and it's going to be a lot different for you production guys to do this. This is a different animal completely. This isn't apples and oranges. This is like a potato and a orange, right? Completely different. I need a fresh sheet of paper from you guys, fresh mind. This is just my experience. You guys can add to this, take away, make it your own. Your mileage may vary, but in the end, the whole idea is to not approach this in a production mindset, but approach this as a craftsman finesse mindset, right? Once you get going and you know the hardware well, I would say a minimum of a half an hour per opening to install this hardware is what it's gonna take. Your mileage, again, may vary, and take and leave whatever you want from this video, but this is gonna at least be the way we have done it in the past. And I hope this helps you guys and makes it enjoyable for you guys in the field. Make your opening your workshop. Take your time with it. Make it like a laboratory. Be precise. Lay out all your stuff so it's all organized. Have a thought process for everything and just do it step by step and just dial it in and have fun with it. And maybe the first one takes an hour and a half and the second one takes an hour and you dial it into 27 minutes a piece. That's great too. So long video, lots to talk about. Let's get into it. Got all of our trim and parts laid out, ready for installation. There's our mortise lock. There's our thumb turn with coin release, and those are our levers. These are all the fasteners and spindles. You're gonna want a number 3 and a number 7 VIX bit, self-centering drill bit, and also a 5/64 and a 7/64 drill bit to finish that hole. You're gonna also want a very small flathead screwdriver. And then you're gonna want a number 2 Phillips, and then a number 1 Phillips. We're gonna avoid using an impact driver or drill to put the screws in. Obviously you need a few drills for your drill bits. Okay guys, your levers are gonna come like this. I actually haven't opened this one up yet, so tear your paper off. Look how nice they package this. This is loose. It's just a wood spindle to hold it together. Don't let them fall, untie it. If you guys are using a living finish on your hardware package, you're gonna wanna wear gloves. Technically actually need to take the butcher spindle. This is just for packaging. You don't actually need to remove this unless you're removing the rows, which we are. Get the install done, and then put these back on when you're done. Now the customer take them off. They get to unwrap each door. Unless it's a big job, maybe they don't want to do that. The next step is we gotta get these roses off, okay? And the reason why is because you'll see on the back, on the sub rows, which is what the rose or escutcheon sits on, I have through holes and then I have threaded holes, okay? So my through holes are gonna be on the horizontal, right? And then on the vertical is where I'm gonna use the other holes to put my face mounted screws in, this little guy right here. Now, I put my face screws in now. Before I function check, I could bind that lock and now I can't move the lever anywhere. So this is the part where you have to be paying attention, have finesse. All right guys, we got our mortise lock. It's gonna come with the plate. The first thing we're gonna wanna do is pull that plate off. Number 1, these are really small screws. Do not lose them. What I like to do is I like to take these very small screws that always seem to go missing somehow. And I like to put them not on the side, but back on the mortise lock so they don't get lost. And we're gonna deal with that at the very end. It'll be like the last thing that we do. So just loosely put those guys back on. All right, put that back on, just loosely. Here we go. These mortise locks are beveled, probably from the factory. See how it's not straight? That's because your door might be beveled. This is adjustable, so bevel it the right way. There'll be, on this particular lock, this is a accurate 9800, there'll be a screw at the top. You can loosen that up, and then you're gonna wanna bevel this. Make sure that you match the angle to the angle of the door. If you're off a little bit, your lock will not be square in your door, and then your spindles will bind and they will have an issue, and that's not a good thing. So very important step is to make sure that you are beveled correctly. The way you can tell is you're gonna take your lock, you're gonna put it in your door, okay? Just like that, and push it in. And if it's even on both sides, you're good to go. It's not even on both sides as far as the gap between the face of the door and the latch plate. You're gonna wanna adjust that, and it looks like I need to adjust this one just a smidge here. We're gonna lessen that angle a little bit. Let's check that. Hey, that's way better. Feels even as we go up and down. Happy? Okay, once you know you're good, crank that thing. Good to go. Next step, put your lock in. Now, this is going to be a little bit different. Remember, this is not like your typical mortise lock installation. Normally when we put these in, we put them in and they want to have a little bit of looseness. We don't want that. Let's put this in tight now. Let's see where we're at. And it's probably, if all things work out right, we're going to keep that in tight, because when you put your trim in, it through bolts, but the thumb turn is actually going to be face mounted as well. If this thing's loose, then you tighten that mortise lock scoots that way or goes up or down, you're gonna bind on your thumb turn. So we want this thing locked in. Check your prep, make sure your hubs are centered in your holes, make sure everything's lined up quick. If it's not, you're gonna stop this video. If you're doing it on the job site, and you're gonna get your files, your round files, and you're gonna open up your prep so that you know that when you put your through bolts in, put your spindle in, and everything else, that you're not gonna be rubbing up against the door prep at all. So it might not be perfect in the hole, but as long as you clear your spindles and they're not rubbing inside this hole, you're gonna be good to go. Step 2, let's lock this mortise lock in. Don't just throw screws to this. We are professionals. We're gonna use a self-centering drill bit. If you don't know what that is, man, there are lots of videos on self-centering drill bits. I like to use the Vicks brand. Okay, so number 7, we're gonna pop that on our drill. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna feed that through the opening. And what this is gonna do is get your holes centered inside that lock. Next thing you're gonna do is grab your 7/64 drill bit. You're gonna come back here and drill these holes out. And so now I have my holes for my locks perfectly drilled there and there. Great, now we're gonna cinch this up. This is the part where you're really tempted to use a impact. You can do whatever you want. I suggest you not to do that. I think you guys are strong enough to do it by hand. Remember, depending on how old you are, Granddaddy did it by hand. They didn't have electric drills back in the day, and they certainly didn't use quarter drills for this. Wipe a little bit of forehead sweat on the screw to get it a little lubed up, and be a man or a woman and crank that screw into that door. You're pre-drilled. There's no reason why you can't do this, guys. Gonna crank this thing in. You know what's cool about doing this by hand is I know I can crank this thing in and I'm not stripping any wood fibers out. So when the next person in decades touches this lock, they're gonna have some meat to screw this thing back into. And they'll probably have much better drills then, where they're all computerized and they don't strip things out. I'm checking right now to feel if that mortise lock is centered in the door. Feels like we are very good to go. Awesome. Yeah, we're good. I'm looking, hubs are looking perfect for the prep. Next step is putting the levers on the door. We're gonna put the spindle in the door halfway. We're gonna grab our lever trim and we're going to sandwich the door with the lever trim. Get up, just like that. Okay, now we're gonna put our through bolts through. You're gonna get 2, they're zinc screws, and these are gonna actually come in from this side. So we're just gonna put those in the hole here. So I need to put my screws through this into the door, and this screw right here in that hole is very easy to do, but obviously my lever is in the way for that screw. Not a big deal. All we need to do is hold that down and you can get it through. So just hold that down right there. Don't mar up your hardware. Don't let it scratch anything. Next thing we're gonna do is very carefully feed these through the door onto the spindle, just like that. That's beautiful. Next, screw that in. That little screwdriver. This is a perfect size for these slotted screws. Make sure that you're not getting anything cross-threaded as you go. This should be very easy to do. You should, like a 2-finger to get these machine screws to go through. If it's any harder than that, take the hardware off, try to do it by hand, and make sure that there's no burrs inside of those posts. Okay, hold that down, and just very gently and very carefully screw this guy in. There we go. Had to feed it by hand a little bit. Dump that lever down, finish this off. If you're really worried about it, you could run some electrical tape on your screwdriver. That will help you not mar anything up. I should be doing that because I'm doing a video. I'm considering doing it just so I don't have to worry about it later. Just take my advice and put some tape on there. Don't do what I'm doing. Do as I say, not as I do. Here's a critical step. Right now, these through bolts are sandwiching the door. We are good to go. I'm not crazy cranking them, but give it a good squeeze. Not crazy tight, but give it a good 2-finger. Okay, these aren't moving. My lock is functioning exactly where I want it. I'm really happy there. These roses are tight to the door, these sub roses. Here is the next step. Now we can face mount those screws. Looks like levers were sticking up a little bit. That's because this is sandwiched in there. See how that can move a little bit? So we need to get this thing dialed in. So the way you would do that, simple, just get it where you want it and then re-cinch it down. Remember, game of finesse. So you might land it on the first shot, you might not. Don't, it's not that big of a deal. You just go back and you dial it in. I think that looks pretty level. Let's check the other side. Good to go. Now that I know that I'm level where I want to be, I'm gonna give it my 2-finger tight cinch. Feels nice. Okay, now we can move on to the next step. I'm looking at this head on and I'm like, yep, this side, I'm really happy with how level that is, right? I'm like, yep, that's exactly where I want it. Because once I put these screws in, I'm locked in. I'm not, if you want to change it, you have to take everything out, fill those holes, and then redo your screw holes, and it's a big pain in the butt. Okay, so I'm happy with this side, and I know that my hardware functions well. So my next step is I'm going to grab my number 3 fix bit, and I am ever so carefully going to not scratch my hardware. And my goal right now is to just poke the door with a hole. I'm not trying to go deep in this thing. I'm going to just poke a hole in both sides of the door right now. Again, guys, I'm happy with where this one sits. Adjust if needed. Get it right where you want it. I'm really happy right there. That looks really good. Now I'm gonna poke and poke. That just marks my holes. That's it. That's all that is there for. Next step, I'm gonna take this hardware off. This seems like it's overkill. It might be, but I don't want to strip these really soft screws out, or even worse, break them off in the door right now. So I'm doing this video thoroughly for you guys. And this is how, if you start doing this, by the time you get to your 5th door, you'll be motoring through these steps. So don't worry about getting it done quick, and don't be in a rush when you put this hardware in. And definitely don't do it when you're irritated. Pulling this off like so. Okay, next step, grab your 5/64 drill bit, send it through those little holes. It's enough for the screw to grab and not bottom out. Mirror your hardware back together. Get your screws started in those holes. I'm doing this by hand. I am not going to use a drill here. Great. Beautiful, locked in, solid. Levers are perfect. They're perfectly horizontal. We are good to go. Next step is to do the thumb turn. I want you guys to notice something before we continue here. So I got the bolt out. By the way, little side note, maybe it's superstition, but when the bolt's out and you tighten everything up, it just seems to always go well. When things do get bound up, usually the bolt's not out when you tighten everything on the faces. Just a little mortise lock installation pro tip right there. Your mileage may vary. Notice when the bolt's out, I'm on the diagonal of my spindle for my thumb turn here. Okay, now when I put this diagonal in the thumb turn, that's vertical. I'm vertical on the diagonal of the spindle. And so when this thumb turn is up, the bolt is out, right? That's how we orientate this. When that is horizontal, the bolt's back. Okay? Bolt out. This is not a super crazy critical step as far as it was last time. The main thing here, guys, is that we want to make sure that we don't get bound up on the hardware. So I want you to marry both these guys together. Okay? And once they're married together, just sandwich it where you want it. Eyeball, if you want these holes to be vertical to each other. I can put that right there. Push down. It's not gonna feel right. Push up, doesn't feel right. So move this up and down, left and right. I mean, you're talking very small micro adjustments. Get it right where you want it. Make it feel perfect, okay? Once you're like, yeah, that's the sweet spot, I'm happy there, pre-drill your holes. Switch out my drill bit, number 3 Vicks. First thing again, we're gonna line this up, make sure we're happy. I'm pushing really aggressively on this sub rose. I wanna make sure this thing's not moving. Get it right in that sweet spot. Get that vertical hole dialed in. Love it. I like it right there. Very happy. I'm pushing hard on the door. I'm gonna get my VIX bit self-centering drill bit in there, and there we go. There. Beautiful. Pull that off. 5/64 drill bits in those little tiny holes. Beautiful. There we go. Now, note, there is a threaded hole and a non-threaded hole. Use the non-threaded holes to put your guy in here, okay? Spindle goes back in. Just like that. Like that. Beautiful. That just floats right through that hole with not a lot of pressure. Beautiful. Love it. I'm having fun. This is enjoyable. That feels excellent. Nothing is bound up. Feels nice and tight. It's beautiful. One more note, guys. Bolt is out. Be picky. Why not, right? Take your slot or your coin release and make it in the up position too. So that's your coin release. Perfect. Rinse, repeat from the last one. Got in the vertical position right where I want it. I'm gonna triple check. Feels good, nothing's gonna get bound up right there. If you wanna be really careful right now, here is a very small suggestion. Do not do both holes. Do one hole. Trust me, it'll pay off if you do this on all the doors and you mess one up. Right now I got one hole drilled, not both, and I'm gonna put the screw in and lock it in place. And then once I cinch this down, if I need to readjust, I got another hole and it's gonna help. If I lock both in right now, it's it, I'm done. You can also do the same thing with the levers, but your mileage may vary. That feels excellent. Man, we're right about there, guys. A few more items to finish up here. Function check. Feeling really good now. We got to put these roses back on and put our plate back on. The notch is always going to go on the bottom. We don't want to be seeing that. Kind of tilt that in. There we go. Notch goes in on the bottom and just very gently work that rose under the face of the door. Be careful, don't scratch the hardware as you run the cover over that beautiful handmade turnstile hardware. Snap that back in place. Okay, and there we go. Beautiful. It's tight. Feels clean. Last step. Remember, we saved those screws in the latch plate. Plate goes right on top of that. That goes in there like so. Beautiful. Nice, tight, beautiful prepped hardware. Thank you. Function check. Oh, perfect. I'm so glad I caught this on camera. Now it feels like crap because I put that latch plate on. This is where the finesse comes. So I can already tell what's happening, but it's grinding. That bolt's grinding on the top of this plate. Tolerances are very, 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 very tight. We're gonna pull this plate off. We're gonna take a file to it on the plate itself and make that problem go away right now. I'm glad that happened. It doesn't always happen, but when it does, man, it's not fun if you don't have a file. We're going to file the bottom of this right here and relief cut some of that out, then put it right back. This is like a normal thing. I have been doing doors and hardware and finished carpentry for over 20 years, and this happens with all hardware that is made to a tight tolerance. This is not production hardware. It requires finesse, requires specialty tools, high quality tools. Let's try that. Still grindy. Keep going. Okay, we filed on the bottom, a little bit on the side, and now we're putting this hardware in, and it looks like it's gonna function great. Let's put some screws in it just to be sure. Stuff like that will take you from a 15-minute install to a 45-minute install in an opening real quick. And it adds up when you got 70 doors on an estate, or maybe you're doing this in a tower, or something like that. Let's see where we're at right now. Yeah, that feels great. There's a lot of contributors to this. It could be that your mortise lock is just slightly out of square. Another thing I wanted to mention too is I think it's a good signature on the installer to clock your screws in the vertical, horizontal position, right? So if they're slotted screws, you can pick vertical or horizontal, but don't leave them crooked. And then I like to clock north, south, east, west on my Phillips screws. The very last step, you're gonna see in the bag hardware, you got these little set screws. They're gonna come with your hardware kits. These are gonna go in the levers, and so don't forget this critical step. They already have Loctite on them. And before we cinch these up, I'm gonna share with you a really cool trick that I learned. Make sure you don't scratch your door as you put these in, okay? So those are just sitting there. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a clamp that has some non-marring pads on it. Got a lot of grip power. I'm gonna very, very carefully, without scratching the face of the door or the hardware, I'm gonna take this clamp, I'm gonna cinch both levers on so that they're not going crooked when I put pressure on them, but they're really cranked down on the door. There we go. Now, I'm gonna very carefully crank those set screws up tight on top of the spindle. This is Turnstyle hardware out of England. It's handmade by artisans that really know what they're doing. I love this brand, their finishes, their designs, their mechanical engineering, just everything about the hardware is phenomenal. But this video isn't just limited to Turnstyle. You can use this type of install on a lot of other luxury lines. Every single hardware line is going to have its own caveats, and so please take what you've seen here, add to it, take from it, make it your own. Thank you so much for watching that long video. I hope it blesses you. I hope that it helps you bid jobs better. I hope that it makes you more money out there in the field. Like, comment, and subscribe if this video in any way blessed you. That's it. Take care and God bless you. Thank you so much.